Exeter, and today on our spotlight we have Todd Hearon.
Got a car, so showed up, and then after that I bent over.
Pleasure to have you on show one. All right, Todd, thank you for coming along today.
Thanks for having me on the series.
Yeah. So, first question is, what do you do here? You seem like a musician. You work in the school, so.
I guess I'm what you'd call a man of many hats. I teach at Phillips Exeter Academy. I teach English. I've been there, I've started my 19th year now. I'm also a musician. I'm also a poet and a writer. And so, all things creative. I don't discriminate about, the form it comes in, just
Nice.
as long as it comes. I've been teaching at Phillips Exeter for 19 years. It's what brought me and my wife, Maggie Dietz, to Exeter. We were living in Boston before that. And she's a poet as well. Phillips Exeter has a writer in residency program called the George Bennett Fellowship, where they bring a writer in for a full year. Just to do their work, without any teaching obligations. That's what brought us to Exeter. Maggie was the Bennett Fellow that year. And I was just along for the ride. I just finished up graduate school in Boston and was actually going to go on the job market. Pretty saturated job market at that time, as it probably still is. While we were here, we got to know the town, got to know some of the people teaching at the academy, even got to sit in on a couple of classes. And I really loved the feel of the place. I really loved the folks who were there. I even got to meet with some of the students and was tremendously impressed with them. And thought, this might be a pretty cool place to land if it were possible. It had the feel of a kind of small liberal arts New England college that I was hoping to establish myself in eventually. And so while we were here, there was an opening that happened in the English department, and I applied, and the rest has been my history here.
Nice.
And it feels like we've really driven down some deep roots. Both of our children, our twins, were born here in town. I've lived in New England now for more than half my life, and so it is starting to feel a little bit like home. I'm not from here, I'm from the South. I was born in Texas and raised in North Carolina. But we like our town of Exeter. We like New Hampshire. It's a great state, all sorts of things to do, and a great community of artists, musicians, poets, writers, not just in the state and in the Seacoast region, but right here in town. There's an enormous and an embarrassing wealth of creative energy happening here.
Nice, nice. So you were so you just got out of graduate school.
Yeah, fresh out.
Fresh out. And so what was your degree? What was your field of study?
Yeah, I studied English
Okay.
literature, and I did my master's in Irish literature. And knew that that's what I wanted to do, but as I said, I thought I'd be doing it at the university level.
Okay.
But I really like being here, teaching here, not just the caliber of the students, but the form that teaching takes here is more like a seminar, sitting around an oval table, and the teacher is really a listener and a facilitator of discussion. So I don't have to prepare lectures and feed the students what I already know. I get to sit and listen to what they think about the books we're reading. And that's been tremendously stimulating. I feel like I'm one of them, a learner. Yeah, and sometimes we're reading books that I've not read before. We're just reading them together and talking about, the questions that these texts bring up and the connections that we can make as a group of 12 or 13.
So we just had actually somebody who teaches at the summer program, Ralph Blumenthal. I don't know if you've ran into him, the journalist teacher there.
Yes.
And so give me a little bit of a feel for the academy. That's a question I haven't quite yet been able to break into.
Yeah, well, people talk of it as a village inside a village, and it is, and certainly in the pandemic time, it has become its own little enclosed bubble, right? We've got kids that come in from all over the world, and it's a residential experience. So the kids, for the most part, if they're boarders, they're living in dorms or residential houses. The faculty lives with them. That's part of the deal. You live in the dorm with the kids for the first at least 10 years. And that was quite an experience, and a really untranslatable experience to somebody who doesn't know what that's like. You know, you try to tell your parents or friends, yeah, I live in a dorm with 60 girls. They're like you have bunk beds? But no, you know, the faculty has its own apartment, and then the kids live, you know, in another part of the dorm. It was great for us when we had our twins when they were infants. You know, we were in a dorm with 60 girls, so it was like instant babysitting. You just open the door and say, who'd like to come? And so, you know, my wife and I got to get out for an hour or so every once in a while. So there's the residential component, there's the teaching component, you know, which is pretty rigorous. I mean, it's academically rigorous for the students as well as the faculty, you know. I mentioned before the people who teach there, you know, the colleagues, and every day I'm amazed by, you know, the imaginative vitality and creative energy of you know, what goes on over there. It's not just keeping the school running, which a large part of it is keeping the school running and keeping the schedule afloat, but it's also like thinking of you know, using ingenuity and ways to operate in a creative, you know, sphere.
Very nice.
You know, to keep it fresh.
Yeah. Okay, and then you also said, and then aside from the school, getting over into the arts a little bit.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like this place is a little art-wise spoiled.
I mean, there is a lot of artistic activity that goes on over there. They've just built the new theater, Center for Theater and Dance. They have a fantastic musical program, fantastic art department. The library is world class, and it's always hosting writers, poets, you know, who come in to speak. The assembly program is bringing in people all the time, you know, luminaries from all over the world. So yeah, as I said, it feels like an embarrassment of riches. Arts, I'm fortunate enough to be in an apartment with a lot of other poets and writers. That was not the case when I came. There was only really one other writer, and he'll forgive me, I won't name him right now, but he was pretty closeted. You know, he wasn't so into sharing his stuff, and over the time that I've been here, he has just emerged as, I mean, the books, the poems, publishing everywhere, as well as some of the other folks on the faculty. You know, people are always doing stuff, and we also like to have a lot of fun together.
Nice.
You know, it's not all work. There's a little play.
Yeah. So, you know, music and poetry and writing, do you ever do this branching out from the school? You get connected with people in this area?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier the Seacoast scene, and the larger community of musicians and writers. Certainly, you know, I do a lot of playing out in town and sort of in the peripheries. I've been working on an album for the last 5 months, which is going to be coming out in August, at the end of August, and we're going to be having a big release party over here at the Word Barn.
Nice.
The Word Barn itself is just a center of culture. They bring in, you know, writers, poets, they have workshops, and of course, national musical acts are always coming through. So you can't emphasize, you know, the importance and centrality of that place. But then there are all these venues and towns, you know, that just over the last, it feels like 10 years, have started opening up their spaces for musicians. I do a lot of gigging. You know, the galleries have just cropped, you know, all sorts of places around. So yeah, it's a tremendously vital place for the arts.
Nice.
And I'm happy to be a part of it.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I can imagine that. Like,
I mean, when we came here to Exeter 20 years ago, there were maybe 2 or 3 restaurants, just in town. You know, not counting, you know, the Dairy Queen and the Kentucky Fried Chicken that were down the road. There were maybe 2 bookshops and maybe 1 little place where you could go and find some, you know, art by local artists and artisans. As you know, in that time, the place has just exploded. It always felt to me like the quintessential little New England town, but now it feels like this just burgeoning core of activity. And, you know, it's a great place to live, a great place for our children to grow up.
All right. Do you have any last words?
Famous last words. Bury me deep. Not really. I mean, no, I don't. What do you want me to say? You going to edit this?
Yes, we're going to edit into a nice, big, lengthy speech.
Yeah.
No, I mean, anything else you'd like to share, though,
Yeah, I mean,
for Exeter?
I'm really grateful to people like you, to organizations like Exeter TV, who support the folks who are doing stuff around town, and I'm really grateful to the town and the businesses, the local businesses, for supporting people like me who want to get out and try to share the stuff we make. And I'm really thankful to the general public who, especially in this really difficult past 18 months or so, has been tremendously generous in getting out as much as we can safely to help support the arts. And I look forward to another 20 years, speaking of last words, if just to see how this place, how Exeter continues to thrive.
All right.
Thank you.
Can you hold on just
Yeah.
1 second, Todd? Bob said something. Hey, Bob, I couldn't fully hear you.
Oh, yeah, no, you asked what I was going to ask, so that was good.
Okay. Did we reach the 15-minute?
We're at like 13, so it's probably fine.
All right, cool. I can just add the little promo in. All right, excellent. Don't want to distract people with our secret magic door.
I can't remember if I mentioned the album release party on the 20th of August at the Word Barn.
Yeah, you can. We can also just add that.
Yeah, that'd be a good plug.
All right, excellent. We'll get one more question, and that way we'll reach
Yeah.
15 minutes. All right, and so aside from you being in, Exeter Academy, there's, and having this involvement with the community, do you have your own personal works too that gets out there?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm a poet. I've got 3 books of poems. I've got a novella that's coming out this summer, I hope, maybe early in the fall.
Nice.
My first foray into fiction. The album, I mean, I've been doing music all my life, and, in a past life was in a band and then doing all that touring and making CDs and things. That was in another country.
I got to hear about this. You were in a band in another country.
Well, in another country, I mean, just like in another conceptual space. It was called Texas. Yeah. I was doing that, professionally for about 6 years, and with a group of guys, and we were touring around and making albums. But then I put that all away when I came up to Boston for graduate school. I'd had enough of music, enough of touring and that crazy life, and just wanted to do something with some order and some structure. So graduate school provided that for me. And it was only recently that I started getting back into music. I got myself an old Gibson guitar, and her name's Myrtle, she just started opening up the song vault. Stuff I didn't know was in there. I guess it just been stored up over 20, 25 years. Just song after song after song. So I have about 4 albums worth of music now. And
Nice.
The first one is coming out August 20th. We're going to be having the release party at the Word Barn. Tickets are online. You can get them through the Word Barn site. But I hope to see people out for that. It's going to be a really fun time.
All right, sounds very exciting. All right, thank you again, Todd.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And for those of you that are interested in being in the spotlight here, you can contact us at extvg@exeternh.gov. Thank you, and have a great day.